For a brief moment, last year, the New Orleans Saints, you know, to me, I think a lot of people had flashbacks to 2009, the way those first 2 weeks of the season was going for the Saints 2024 season. 40 points in back to back games, talk of a playoff run, and then it all came crashing down in week 3 against the Philadelphia Eagles, where Eric McCoy went out with an injury. Taysom Hill went out with an injury, and the Saints would lose that game, and then would go on to lose 7 straight games, and resulted in the firing of Dennis Allen after the shocking defeat to the Carolina Panthers. So, fast forward to this season, 2025, and this team is searching for answers, not banners. So, what should Saints fans expect this season? So today we're gonna preview the upcoming 2025 regular season campaign for the New Orleans Saints. So just to recap what occurred in 2024, they came into 2024 last year with high hopes. Derek Carr starting quarterback, Dennis Allen still the head coach, and the early returns were looking promising. A week 1 blowout against the Carolina Panthers, followed by a blowout win over the Cowboys that had the fan base buzzing. For 2 weeks, the Saints they looked like Super Bowl contenders. For 2 weeks, it looked like Dennis Allen had finally cracked the code on what it meant, what it took to be a winning head coach. But like I said, week 3 against the Eagles, Eric McCoy go out with a groin injury, get on IR, never was fully healthy for the season, and then from that point forward, that offense looked like a shell of its former self. It just never looked the same. Finished the year 5-12, and y'all know the rest on what happened after that. Hire Kellen Moore, this new head coach, a guy that's known for his offensive creativity with the Dallas Cowboys and recently the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets his first shot at running an NFL franchise as a head coach. And for the Saints fan base, that's a breath of fresh air. He's not from the Peyton Claude, doesn't have any ties to Sean Payton. So there's that. But some of his coaching staff have ties to Payton. But I don't think that's gonna be an issue. So the team in the offseason made several moves to retool this roster. Signed safety Justin Reid, a player that brings veteran stability to the secondary. Wide receiver Brandin Cooks returns to the Saints. Adds some speed to the team. Not the burner that he once was, but he still could be a reliable wide receiver and has experience. You traded for Davon Godchaux, a move to a plug. That was a move right there to help out with a really bad run defense that wasn't always to be like that like several years ago. Nah, like these recently, the past I would say 2 seasons, everybody has been running over on the Saints, running on the Saints rush defense. Then you re-sign edge rusher Chase Young, and while rookies like Kelvin Banks, Tyler Shook, and Danny Stockman, um, those guys got a lot of upside, especially Kelvin Banks and Tyler Shook. But it wasn't all additions. Cornerback, Qualson Adebo left in free agency. They weren't able to re-sign Marquez Valdez Scantling, a player that came on, pretty strong towards the end of the season, help out in a few of the want to help contribute to the Saints winning a few games down the stretch after Dennis Allen was fired. But he signed with the Seahawks, but he got released from Seattle Nice with the 49ers. You know, you preview you if you to preview the offensive side of the football. Saints offense was inconsistent last season. Ranked 24th in points per game at just under 20. They were ranked 28th in third down conversions and 23rd in passing yards. So to simply put it, they couldn't sustain drives. Plain and simple. The hope is that more system and some new faces can change that. Spencer Rattler has been named the starting quarterback, beating out rookie Tyler Shook. Jake Hayner, they had his name in the hat as well, but eventually it came down to Shuck and Spencer Rattler. So, as many of you already know, Rattler went 0-6 as a starter last season, but Moore's reputation for developing quarterbacks gives reason for optimism to me. I mean, he's gonna have his help though. He's finally gonna have a chance to play with some actual contributors, key contributors. Alvin Kamara remains the centerpiece of the offense. While Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed headline a receiving core with real speed. The return of Brandin Cooks only adds to that firepower. Up front, rookies Kelvin Banks Jr. and Talisia Fawanga will be asked to stabilize an offensive line that struggled after McCoy's injury last season. And also traded for Devon Veal, 6'5" wide receiver, coming over from the Denver Broncos, over 400 yards receiving last year. I believe he had 4 touchdowns. Saints give up a fourth round draft pick in the upcoming draft in 2026 to acquire Devon Valet, and we'll see how that all play out. But it's been like a mixed response on that trade. Some people upset about it. Some people favor the trade, but he he addresses a size issue that the Saints had in regards to their receiver core. So there's that. But overall, to me, the group has talent. But the key is consistency. Can Spencer Rattler avoid turnovers? Can Spencer Rattler play play a full game? Can he play? Can he have a good first half, followed by a good second half, and win a football game? Can the line stay healthy? And can Kellen Moore's creativity finally unlock Alvin Kamara as both a rusher and a pass catcher? Last year, he was on the verge of having 1,000 yards of his first ever 1,000 yard rushing season. Got hurt against the Commanders and didn't come back. I think he still has a lot left in the tank, despite his age. I really do. Let's look at the defense. Previewing the Saints defense. Defensively, the Saints were a mixed bag in 2024. They were ranked 18 in points allowed, but ranked near the bottom against the run, giving up 141 yards per game. That's where the offseason moves came in for this team. Davon Godchaux was brought in specifically to anchor the middle. Pairing him with Brian Brzee gives New Orleans size and disruption up front. Chase Young, staying healthy, could be the swing factor. If he can regain his elite level status, the Saints pass rush could be more dangerous automatically. In the secondary, they lost Paulson Debo. That's going to hurt them. But the Saints are banking on second-year player, Kool-Aid McKinstry, to develop quickly. Adding Justin Reid and Julian Blackman at safety should bring more. That should bring more communication and stability in Brandon Staley's vision-heavy defensive scheme. And don't forget about Demario Davis. 36 years old. He's still the heartbeat of the Saints defense. And his leadership will be crucial as the Saints try to establish an identity this season. So, for my projected outlook for this team, for the New Orleans Saints in 2025, this is the reality right now for me. This Saints team, to me, is not built for the playoffs right now. And I could be totally wrong on that. But I just don't think they're built for the playoffs right now. The uncertainty at quarterback is just too big to ignore. And the depth behind the core talent is shaky. Because if you start taking injuries to your first unit, you're gonna have to repeat it last year, and most likely it's going to grant the Saints a top 5 pick, a top 10 pick, especially if Eric McCoy goes on again. But in regards to the ceiling of this team, right now, probably 5 to 7 wins. I think they can win 7 games. A lot of people tell me when I say 7 wins, they think that's too high, but I think they could reach 7 wins. I wouldn't be surprised if they reach 8 wins, 9 wins, NFC South title. But for me, right now, I have them as a 5 to 7 win team. But even if they do win 7 games or 6 games, that doesn't mean the season is meaningless, in my opinion. Because this year is about growth. It's about finding out. It's about figuring out if Spencer Rattler can be the guy, or Tyler Shuck can be the guy, and about watching young guys like Kelvin Banks, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kendrick Miller finally develop. Can Kendrick Miller finally develop? Can Kendrick Miller become an impact player for this team? Because if he does, that may add at least 2 more wins to this record, to my projected win total for this team. Possibly 3. If the offensive line can pull it together, that could be more wins for the Saints. They're not in the hard division to dominate it, to win. But in the weak NFC South right now, the Saints might win some games. I think they could steal a few games on that schedule. But the real win is establishing a foundation for 2026 and beyond, in my opinion. So, no, this ain't '06. This ain't the 2006 Saints with Sean Payton and Drew Brees and Reggie Bush and Joe Horn and a few other Deuce McAllister and a few other good players that Sean Payton inherited when he took over in '06 after Katrina year. But maybe, just maybe, it's the start of something new with this team. And for a team in transition, that's what really matters to me. So what do y'all think? Can Spencer Rattler lead this team to more than 7 wins? Or this season truly a rebuilding year or something else? Or a year where they can overachieve and win the division? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm out.